Kim, were you having when you called? Is that what you meant? The messages? Is it recording during your hanky-panky time?
Yes, it recorded 20 minutes of us.
She didn't call, but she recorded 20 minutes.
It was a voice. Yeah, it was a voice.
Kim McIsaac literally
What
cannot
happened?
hold down 37 seconds of a voice thing when she wants to.
What
happened was the phone
was it
kept
in the thread?
The phone kept going
5
off,
minutes
going off, going
in
off.
our thread. Oh,
But
yeah,
she
go.
nailed it. And he'll end up going to the bathroom. He's like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna just see why my phone's like going crazy. And it was you guys because pictures came. So it's like looking at some of the pictures while he was in the bathroom. Then he like came back. I always get paranoid with the phones on the bed. Like I always do this where I throw it to the outside because I'm always afraid like what if something ever happens, you know? And it had this orange little arrow. I was like, why is it orange? And I'm like,
Tabs, you're dating. You need to listen to this part.
Well, Kimmy,
like,
I
why
saw
is
them say that in the thread, Kimmy, and I thought you guys were joking.
I can't believe
No.
Then I was like afraid to touch it because like I was like more afraid it was gonna be like I don't even know.
Send it somewhere.
It was on the other side. It was like kind of next to me. So it was like
This is
even
making
it was
my
a
whole
video.
day, actually.
I know.
This is-
I pressed the orange and then all of a sudden it says audio recording 19 minutes and 21 seconds and I'm like
Good. First of all, good for you on the 19 minutes and 13 seconds.
Hello and welcome to Table for Five with No Reservations. Take a seat at the table for a fresh, sweet, salty, tart, and pleasantly bitter conversation. Hello and thank you for taking a seat at the table. This is our No Reservations episode of our travel series, wrapping it up, which is kind of crazy. This last 5 weeks flown by. At the table tonight, I have Kimberly McIsaac.
hello.
Rachel.
Hey, everyone.
Tabitha.
Hello.
Jen.
Hello, everyone.
And I am Jamie. Since summer is close, I thought we would go around and maybe talk about if we have any travel plans this summer or kind of what we're up to.
Yeah, so we're going to try and cabin quite a bit more this year and just sort of embrace a little day trip kind of thinking more often this summer than we've had the confidence to in the past. We don't have any like airline travel or biggie road trips, just some hopes to get out of town. I want to do more hotel stuff too. I feel like there has to be local hotels still that give like a pool pass. Does that exist?
No.
Anyway, I just want to be able to like get out of here and not be committed to like a big week of expectations and stuff. What about you guys?
We're going to be going to I think South Carolina in August. We're going to go to Myrtle Beach and check that out. I'm going to take Alyssa to the Myrtle Beach Safari where you can see lots of animals. They have like tigers and baby tiger cubs, wolves, cheetahs, all different stuff like that. So that's what our plan is. So Neil is out every weekend now. He's asking me he's like, where's your side job? I'm like, I'm still waiting for Facebook to pay me for those reels. I'll let you know if they do. So that's like a
You're
big
still
trip
waiting on
that
a call
we're
back
planning.
from Mark, huh?
Yeah, I think we're gonna we'll drive down. It's about a 16-hour drive. So
Woo.
yeah, so I think we'll probably do some kind of weekend too somewhere or something for like July maybe with like her and Ari, just something maybe like Storyland or I don't know, something with like a pool or something.
Jen, you have a trip coming up. It might actually be over by the time this comes out.
Yeah, we're going to Disneyland, and then actually something we're going to do really cool towards the end of maybe middle of summer, end of summer. And I just saw a commercial. I'm like, why don't I do that? We have West Edmonton Mall. I was just Googling it. It is bigger than the smallest country in the world. It's massive. It has 2 hotels in it. It has a huge water park. It's got like amusement ride. It's massive, and it's an hour plane ride. We could drive it in 12 hours. Maybe that would be fun. Maybe we could do a road trip. Well, we'll probably fly, but it might be fun. You know, in the summer, I've got so much vacation time. I never take it. I want to do things with her this year. And it's staying in our own country. And I think that would be a lot of fun, actually.
I think that would be fun. I think Kai would actually do pretty well on a road trip.
Yeah, I think
you would.
yeah.
But if you don't have a shower stop, I'm just kidding.
Oh no, we would be staying in a hotel. Let me be very clear. It would be a hotel. Maybe make 2-night stops out of it, you know? I don't know.
Not some roadside janky.
No, there'll be no
side.
roadside shower pits, James. No. So I think that'll be fun. That's sort of our plan this summer.
Tabs, do you guys have any plans?
I want to go to see my sister. I might take the kids up there. They have a week break between school and, well, Nora has 3 weeks break, but Nixon has a week break between school and summer school because they'll both be doing summer school. So I want to do that. And then they have the whole month of August open. So I think I'll try and do some traveling, camping for sure, getting into the woods, taking them out there for the first time, enjoying the Montana summer, fishing. Nixon's been obsessed with fishing lately. So we
I
got him
love
like a
that.
practice pole that he's been casting with, and Nora has a practice pole. So see if he's going to be a little fisherman. He really likes it. Just do the
I
Montana
can see
summer, I
them
think.
loving like being riverside in like
Yes.
one of those safe inlets that's just you can
Mellow,
where you
or like
can
a
sit
lake.
for a second and like you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I think they would love camping, both of them for sure. And I love it.
Mhm.
Nora, last year we did a little bit of hiking and she seemed to like it a lot. So I'd like to do some hiking, and I really want to go back to Phoenix. It'll be a year this summer since we've been in Montana, and I haven't been back one time.
That's crazy.
So I really want to take a trip down there and eat some good Mexican food and be around the people that I left, because I didn't really get to say goodbye to anyone because we got COVID right before
Yeah.
we left.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd like to do that, and then have one trip planned down to Cody in June, which is Wyoming. It's like a couple-hour drive from here. So I want to do all the traveling,
Kim,
actually.
you just nodded like you had heard that town from Yellowstone. So you're like, oh yes, Cody, of course.
Yeah, Cody is in Yellowstone a lot.
Did that happen?
Yeah.
She looked up like, oh yeah, of course. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Say hi to
I
Rip for
think
me.
I was like thinking about so many things as she was talking. And I'm like, yeah, just
You know what I was thinking about? The only way you
Sounds
could get
good.
me to hike
sign me up.
is if there was like stations up the mountain where you just stop and get like a little snack, a little drink, hike into the
We can
next
invent that,
station.
Jen. We'll
That's
invent
the
Yeah.
business I'm gonna start.
The
Yeah,
glam
we
hike.
had talked about maybe popping down to Denver, Jamie, which is
Yes.
only like 9-hour drive from us. That
Oh,
would be
God.
fun. Go see the zoo and
It's
all the good stuff.
terrible.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, that's a drop in the pan in Montana. You say 5
Yeah.
hours, people are like, oh, that's not too bad.
It's like two to the
Sure.
right butcher.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So hopefully get out and about. I am so goddamn thankful that the snow is gone and we have sunshine
Oh.
back. I can't even explain how long this freaking winter was. And
Isn't it like a soul recharge to see the green grass every time you open the window?
yeah, I started a
Yeah.
garden, got some tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, the whole shebang going outside right now.
You know what? I don't
So-
particularly like the sun, like, oh, I don't like the heat, but there's something about a beautiful summer starting day where the air is almost warm. I had my screen doors open the last couple days, all our windows open. I love
Jen
it.
Dunn, for the first time in our history of the Table for Five, has had the best weather week.
Yeah. It's been
Yeah.
like freaking Jen weather here in Denver. Like rainy.
And me
all the time.
too.
Not used to this.
Yeah.
What about you, James? What's your plans?
So my parents have a camper and we took the kids out in it for the first time last year because we've
Okay.
always wanted to do camping. I grew up I mean, we both grew up in Colorado, me and my husband. So a lot of camping and stuff like that. But it's a little harder with Jess, although I do think he could do it probably now. But with the camper, it's nice because we have some of those things. And now that I'm getting older, I like some of those things too, like the shower and the toilet. So we're
mattress.
probably going to do a little more of that. And we're going to try to do more hiking. And then our big trip is that we're going to Europe. I've officially bought the tickets. I have so
Mhm.
much anxiety in my soul about this. I don't even really like talking to people about it anymore because I either get responses of like, oh yeah, you could do it. Like our friend Rachel Lack from across the spectrum, she travels with her son a lot. And she's like, oh my gosh, you could totally do this. And, but then a lot of people, even if their kids are not at all neurodiverse, look at me like I'm insane for taking my two kids to Europe. My daughter will be just 5 and then Jesse's 8, but I'm trying to stay positive. Last year we did a road trip, which I talked about. We went to Kansas City, which is 10 hours from us. And the way back, we did a straight shoot. And I mean, we stopped to go to the bathroom and stuff, but my son did pretty good. Like as long as his stuff was in there, his iPad. My daughter probably got a little more bored because, it's boring, but I think we could do it. I'm just really nervous about the jet lag. I'm nervous about if anything goes wrong, my son having a reaction. My daughter can be pretty feisty when she's overtired. So we're technically flying there overnight and I'm hoping they sleep. And then when we get in, it's going to be rough, like getting them off the plane and stuff like that. But my son is very into maps and he likes geography. He doesn't know a ton of stuff, but he loves It's a Small World. So we're going to London first, and then we're going to go over to Belfast because my little brother's getting married over there. And so he knows what London is. He knows Big Ben and all these like stereotypical
And you
ideas.
can follow the flight tracker.
Yeah.
While you're on.
And so I think he'll really, he's excited. And we make this joke about business Jess when we have something that we have to get done or we're going to do something that he wants to do. So like last year we went to this water park around here called Water World. And he loves going there, but like he knows that he has to like walk to the entrance, wait in the line, go in. And like, if it's something he really wants to do, when it's business Jess, he'll do it. He's like, all right,
Yeah.
my swimsuit
Get it
on,
done.
I'm gonna wait.
Mission this park.
The waiting's still a little hard. He's kind of all over the place, but he knows at least like he's not getting upset. He's just like anxious. And so I'm like, I'm hoping business Jess is there, but I'm hoping nothing goes wrong, because if business Jess is there and something goes wrong, business angry Jess. So I'm really excited for it because I've only been to London one time. So I went without my husband. And so I'm excited for my husband to go. And we've always wanted to go to Ireland. So we're super excited to go to Belfast and Dublin. And
That's amazing.
yeah, so I'm excited and really scared. I just trying not to think about it too much. You guys know the whole month before I leave, I probably won't sleep. I will be up all night, like
Worrying. Yeah.
and I'm gonna try to pack really light, which is gonna be insane.
What's the flight again? Time?
So the flight there is 9 hours. So we're doing
Okay.
it overnight. The flight back is scarier to me because it's not going to be overnight. And we're flying back from Dublin and you have to have a layover. And so we're going to Charlotte and then from Charlotte to Denver. And so it's going to be like getting off the plane, doing customs on all that, and then getting on another plane. I'm a little scared about, but positivity.
Grab a TSA agent the second you get off and get them to take you right through.
Well,
Say this is
the
business,
problem with
Jess.
This is business. Jess.
Him
well, the
business,
problem with
Jess.
customs,
They have to
custom,
be-
well, custom isn't done through the TSA. It's border
Patrol. Yeah.
border, something border
Patrol. Yeah.
So but I'm hoping that we can just immediately talk to someone and be like, hey, and if it's not as popular here. Kayla mentioned on our first episode the sunflower lanyard.
Oh yeah.
It's like a representation to a lot of people
We've done that.
that you have invisible disability. It's way more popular in Europe. It actually started in Europe. So there I'm a little more like, okay, I'm hoping that's just like we can there and people will help us out a little more. Here it's kind of like you might get someone that recognizes it, but they really are doing a push in the US for it. But she could be like, hey,
Billy said we got the lanyard on the way to Arizona, which was our, a challenging trip in some ways. And he's like, don't you feel like dressing like a Van Gogh painting to get home? Like, if you didn't see the lanyard, did you see my poncho?
I like used to
55,000 sunflowers.
you're like, oh, I'm sorry to bother you. And I'm very nice. Let me be clear. But now I have no second thoughts about going up and asking for help. Like I grabbed someone the second we hit that airport in Vancouver because they don't have TSA here or TSA cares, but they have like the airlines have their own sort of way of doing things. Air Canada, shout out, they whisked us through on a cart and they actually took us to customs right through to our gate. So that was helpful, but that was the first time that's ever happened.
yeah, and that's why I'm just gonna ask. What can
Just
hurt?
ask. I just have to ask. Yeah.
I mean, if he's in a good mood and everything's fine, it's not going to be in the world. But if we're having a rough time, I'm just going to be like, can you please help us out here? And it will be obvious.
Yeah.
Anyway, on the note of being positive,
It's gonna go great.
It's gonna be perfect.
we thought tonight we would do, I don't know if this is fun or not, but do a little travel gone wrong.
Yeah.
Not to scare anyone away from traveling or to go back on my positivity thing. Does someone have a story?
I'll go.
Okay, tabs.
Yeah,
So when
tabs.
Nixon was like, he must have been 9 months old. I think he was under 1. Me and him traveled to Montana by ourselves. And then I took a road trip with my best friend and her 2 kids because she was doing like a festival and we drove from Montana to Oregon and a little bit of Washington, like through the states. So on the way home, and her kids were like, they must have been like 9 and 6 or around that age bracket. Nixon did great on the trip. Then on the way home, I was in the airport checking my bags. I have 47 things because you have to do the car seat and you have to do all the crap that you have to take with the baby is so many things. I'm in the line and I start smelling poop. I start smelling poop. And I'm like, what is that smell? Where is it coming from? And I look down and my arm is covered in poop. And Nixon is covered in poop, like all the way up his back. And we're like in the line. I'm like, I'm not leaving this line. Like, we're just going to get the bags to the people. Then we can get through and do the changing and the whole thing. And so then I'm like walking around looking for the bathroom before we go through the security. And I'm like, I don't have any change of clothes for myself. I mean, I have stuff for him in the bag, but I have no change of clothes for myself in the bag. So then I'm like, okay, we got to make it through security smelling like poop to get to the.
Jen just passed out. If you're a listener, Jen has disappeared out of you. No, I'm kidding.
To get to the thing where I could buy the souvenir T-shirt
Oh,
to
God,
change
yeah.
my clothes in the bathroom. So we go through security still reeking. I mean, it was horrible. It was like baby poop, like the nightmare situation. And explosion of the bag. And so then I have to go into the
I love that you oh, God.
souvenir shop. I have to go to the souvenir shop covered in poop and buy a T-shirt for myself.
Oh, God.
So then I go to the bathroom. I'm like ripping my clothes off, ripping his clothes off. I throw them away.
Baby Nixon's in the sink. Like, just don't.
I was like dousing him, dousing myself. I'm like, where's the Clorox wipe? At this time, Clorox wasn't like everywhere because this is pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
And so I'm like washing him. There's like people coming in and out. It's like the whole bathroom reeks. And I like buy the souvenir show. I throw all of our clothes away. I'm just like, these are garbage. We can't do anything with this. And then I sit on the plane, and the person next to me is like sniffing around. Like obviously we still had
like they're wondering if there's dog shit on their shoe. Nope, it's me and my son.
I hope you are like, what is that smell?
What? You smell that?
Had the lingering smell on both of us because we had to wait from the bag check situation all the way through till we got through security. So
It's absorbed in your skin by
into
now.
our skin by that point. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. Nixon is a great traveler, luckily, even as a baby. And so he was just like down for the ride. But I was like, this is horrific.
He was feeling good.
He was
Just
real
got
bad.
it all out.
It
Feeling
was real
great.
bad. And I think the whole thing started because of the way I was holding him. Like I was holding him under the bum, you know what I mean? And so it like propelled it up. It wasn't like even his
Full
fault.
out
It was, like, the way
evacuation.
that I was like holding him. Terrible.
That's awful.
Yeah, real terrible situation.
Do you
Nightmare
still
traveling.
have that Billings shirt? Like that?
It was from Eugene, Oregon, and yes, I wear it all the time. It has a VW
Yeah.
bus on the front, and I wear it all the time.
Dang.
It was just terrible. So that was real nightmare. My second one that I thought of when we brought this up was I was traveling with both kids by myself, also to Montana, and I had to drive from Phoenix to the Mesa airport, which had the only direct flight. At 6 a.m. was the flight. We hit traffic. And so then we're in like this hour window to catch our flight. I have a stroller, 400 bags because it's just me and the kids. I get to the counter and the lady's like, you're not going to make your flight. I'm like, just check me in. We'll make it through security. Just check me in, lady. So then we get through security, do the whole thing. I walk up to the window. The door is closed. I'm sweating, like profusely sweating. Like Nora was probably, I don't know, 6 months old, maybe. And she's like, we can't reopen that door. And I just started sobbing because we got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I both of my kids up at 3 o'clock in the morning, drove 45 minutes to the airport, hit traffic, made it into the airport, made it to the freaking window. I can see the airplane is still there. The thing is still, the stairs or whatever ramp is still there. And she's like, once we close this door, we can't open it. I'm like, what the actual whistle are you talking about?
Then let
lady?
me down these stairs and onto the thing because I know there's a staircase out there.
Well, they would not let me
Exactly.
through. They would not let me through. So then I'm like crazy mom crying because I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning in the air. Obviously, this isn't the first time I've cried in the airport under these situations where people tell me I can't fly. So then I had to rebook a ticket I was flying into Billings, I think, for that. I had to find a ticket the next day to fly into Missoula, and then I had to drive 5 hours from Missoula to get to Billings with my 2
Oh.
kids because I missed my flight. Yeah,
Mm.
just travel extravaganza. Apparently, I choose to travel alone with my children very often. And
You're crazy. Yeah. No.
yeah, that was when one wasn't mobile yet. So you could just strap her in,
Chuck
just
'em.
go for, and Nixon was small enough, also could be strapped in at that point. I would never. I mean, that sounds like so hard right now. I can't even imagine traveling with them by myself.
God, I can't.
Anyway, those are my 2 terrible traveling stories. The poop one was real bad.
It's really hard to beat that one.
Not good. Would not recommend. Also,
mean,
the person next to me would not recommend either.
Oh, the sniffer. The sniffer.
Just sniffing like the entire.
They ever figure out it was
flight.
you?
I'm sure they did. I mean, I had a tiny baby, and maybe they were sniffing to alert me to the fact that my child had like a poopy diaper, but we had already dealt with the poopy diaper. This
It's
is
not
the
in him
aftermath.
anymore, sir.
Yeah,
This is the aftermath.
it's a poopy aura, buddy.
And we were like the window seat, and so there were like 2 people like crammed into the cloud.
I
of
love
poop
that
smell.
Kim's first, she's the most veteran mom of any of us. And her first instinct was to say, what is that smell? And just allude to the fact that it is somebody else's and they should be ashamed.
Oh man, vividly remember that. It was horrible, especially the security. I was just like,
What?
there's no choices
That they
here.
remember it too.
Unless I just take my shirt off and go through security with my bra on. I mean, I don't know what the choices are at that point. Like, you ask a stranger for a shirt out of their bag.
I had to really think about this because I'm like, we've had so many wonderful travel experiences, and with each
Says the
one
Griswold.
brings their own little flair of disaster. But one of the ones that came to mind the most, and I was like really thinking, I was just trying to like that I don't think I might have talked about it, but I don't think I have. So when our first vacation, which I talked about earlier in the series, was when we all went to Florida and Alyssa was 5. I was pregnant with Kara. We figured we could do a whole Florida trip. We could certainly do a weekend away, no problem, right? So we booked this weekend away up in New Hampshire. It's just a state away. It's like an hour and a half drive. We go to Hampton Beach. I find this place on the internet that's like $100 a night. I'm like, reasonable price. This is like kind of like in the beginning of like just like get on the internet and like finding places. We end up doing this, and Neil's family comes, my parents come, my sister comes, his brother and their family come. We obviously all get like our own hotel rooms. And in the thing it says, you know, they have slides, they have pools, they have all this stuff. So you get there, it's a ghetto hotel. It's a hotel you would expect to pay $100 a night for. And my husband, we do not have money, but like my husband is the type that's like, pay more money and get somewhere nice. Like, I don't care. Don't go somewhere crappy to save $50, you know? And I'm always like the frugal one that's trying to be like, well, we don't have that much money. Let's like try to find something affordable, whatever. So it's like a Best Western something. And it's in this town. It was called like Seabrook. And I'm like, sounds like a nice place. Like, I don't know. So we
Seabrook
go there
sounds
and
super ritzy.
it was like I don't know if it was like a Best Westerns. It was like sort of like motelish, but whatever. We're gonna make the best of it. Like, we have the whole family, like it'll be fine. So we go there, and Alyssa was in this phase where like she had done a pretty good adjustment to Kara being born. When Kara was a baby, she just like ignored her, pretend she didn't exist, allowed her to live in the same space as us. As Kara started to get a little more mobile, Alyssa started to get a little antsy about it. She kind of started pushing her. Nothing excessive, but like she didn't want Kara in her space. So Kara was 15 months at the time. So Kara was at that age where she's just going to be in your space. So there was like a little pushing and a little a little bit of aggression started with Alyssa, but it was like very like inconsistent. And so she had just turned 7. So we're at this place and we're in line for the slide. And this little boy is like jumping up and down, whining, pulling on his father's shirt. I mean, out of nowhere, Alyssa darts, goes at the boy, pinches him like, and she used to pinch you with like her fingers were like so little and tiny, and she would just get you. I mean, it hurt like a mother. And of course, I grab her. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And the guy turned around. He goes, kids like that shouldn't be at places like this. They should be kept home. And I'm like, oh, my sister and Neil's sister went crazy. I like just took Alyssa and I was like, I need to get her out of the situation. So like I took her and like I walked away and they're all arguing and it was like obviously it was like very upsetting and emotional. I felt terrible that like she did that, but like I don't think she didn't even fully get him. She just went. So Alyssa had this phase where we didn't really know what the trigger was, but just all of a sudden like she would sometimes do this. And then in the meantime, my son goes in the pool, head to toe reaction, head to toe, has like an asthmatic reaction. Like, so my son did not have asthma until this trip. This trip like triggered asthma. So we're on the phone with the doctors. They're telling us like what medication to get for him. And he obviously can't go back in the pool. Thank God there was a beach nearby. There's like a beach, arcade. There were other things, but like, Neil's already like, really? And it's just hectic. We have a 1-year-old, we have a 7-year-old with special needs. My son was probably around 10, a bunch of other kids, a bunch of people. So like, we're just going to go to the beach. Tomorrow we'll go to the beach. This will be fine. So we're all up sort of like near the top of the beach. And it's like me, Neil's sister, my cousin was there. Neil has the kids in the water. He has his nephew, my son. Alyssa just kind of splashing around and he's talking to this guy. And I'm just watching from afar. I see him conversating with this guy and I see Alyssa splashing around. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, she goes, pushes this little boy. He's like 2, she's 7, pushes him down. I mean, it was like an inch of water. Like, and then obviously Neil grabbed her, apologized, and obviously like autism wasn't as known then. People didn't have the awareness that they kind of have now. And he's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And like my family's like making jokes. They said like it's like when sharks attack, but it's when Alyssa attacks. And I'm like, no, it's not funny. Well, all of a sudden the mom, like 5 minutes later, jumps up. She starts running down the beach, like just so dramatic. My baby, oh my God, what happened? And I'm just like, oh my God. She starts this huge thing. It was terrible. And I was just like, okay, let's just leave. And we found out later that what the trigger was anytime a child whined or cried is what Alyssa would go after them. So the sound of somebody whining or crying would just like, it would be so impulsive and so fast that you wouldn't even like, and it's not like it happened every time. Like it could not happen for weeks at a time in between. You just never knew. Obviously, like now we started like realizing like that something was going on with her. I really think the trigger was just Kara. Like Kara crying reminded her, I knew we've come full circle. We've come full circle with this girl. So Eddie crying, I think, reminded her of Kara. It just agitated her, and she was so fast. And obviously, I get it, people don't understand because she's 7. So if she's 7 and your kid's 3 or 4, like, of course, like that's upsetting. But sometimes the way people react just make things, like that mother runs down the beach. The whole situation was already done. She was taken away. Her son was fine. Like her husband, he was like, I'm so sorry. My daughter has autism. And he was fine. The mother, and then of course the people that I'm with want to like, and I do get it, but like at the same time, it's like, relax, lady. So that was pretty bad as far as like vacations goes. Kind of made us not want to run and do another vacation anytime soon. But another thing that was pretty disastrous was we went to Disney. This was when Alyssa was 22. It was my daughters were dancing at Disney and we were driving down. I was surprising my daughter Kara she was a big Dance Moms fan. So she was going to the Abbey Lee Dance Studio. They were having a thing there where you could meet the girls. You could do a Q&A with Abby. You could take an actual dance class there. And I said, well, it's in Pennsylvania. We like go by Pennsylvania. So it's right on our way to go to Florida. So I talked Neil into let me purchase these tickets for Kara. And we have it all set on like what time we'd have to leave. We'd have to go, get to a hotel in Pennsylvania, all this stuff. We go to pick up the rental car. It's like a town away from us. And they're like, oh, sorry, we don't accept debit cards. You have to have a credit card. I'm like, well, we don't have a credit card with the amount of money. We have the cash. Like, we can give you the cash. And they're like, no, we can't accept cash. And we're like, okay, we have enough. If you do it for 1 week, can we do it for 1 week and then do an extension? And they're like, no, we can't do that. It's a Saturday. It's like 10 a.m. There's no other rental places open except for at the airport. We leave there. I'm freaking bawling. And Neil's like, nope. He's like, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Like, the kids are all home, like with the bags, like waiting to go. We get back home and he's like, we'll just take our car. And I'm like, you said our car wouldn't make it. And he's like, no, it'll make it. It'll be fine. So what was happening was our car was overheating. So you just had to like add water. He's like, it'll be fine. Well, I'll just get it filled up with water. And I'm like, okay. And then afterwards he tells me, he goes, I can't stand you crying. He's like, I would have stole a car if I had to. He's like, we're just gonna like go in the car and we're gonna
Oh
make
my
it. We're
gosh.
gonna make it work. We drive, and of course now we're like hours behind of when we were supposed to leave. So Pittsburgh, people, just for anyone who's not looking at a map right now. So Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is actually 3 hours away from like the part of Pennsylvania. We just kind of would be driving around the edge of like DC and Pennsylvania. So 3 hours in, 3 hours out. 6 hours out of our way. Like, not like really, I mean, if you're driving 24 hours, what's 6 more, right? So we get to and Kira didn't know. She didn't know that she was doing this. So it was like a surprise. We never make it to a hotel because we get there at like 7 in the morning. The dance class is at like 8:30 or something. So like, I'm literally changing her in like a Dunkin' Donuts bathroom. We get to the place, we go in. Neil is waiting in the car with Alyssa, and he has that AC running, which you can't do when you have a car that overheats. So he falls asleep in the car. Now, I don't know this because he's like, I just figured he'd drive around. He would like do whatever. So we come back out and we're driving and the car starts overheating. Like, we're literally pulled over the side of the road, gathering all the water bottles in the car, filling it up because like the car wouldn't work. It wouldn't drive. So we get it all filled up. And then we're like, we're just gonna stop here. We stopped in like West Virginia for the night. We're like, thankfully, like I always give us plenty of time to get down there because, disasters. Now we can't use the AC. AC's done. Like, no water is helping this AC. So now we're driving to Florida in the very end of June with no AC. So I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. But like, the good thing was all the windows were down. The hatch was up because it was so effing hot. Couldn't hear the kids. The kids couldn't talk to us. We couldn't hear them. We should have thought of doing this before. But we're driving. This is not an exaggeration. So we get to like South Carolina. It is so effing hot that the water bottles are hot. They're turning hot. Like, the water bottle that you have that you're drinking while you're driving is literally turning hot. That's how hot it was. It was so bad. We were dying. We end up like having to like get out of the car and go to a restaurant, like cool off. I mean, it was until we got to South Carolina. I don't know what happened in that state, but like the hot there is like, it's like hell hot. It's like, it's nothing like we even have here.
So hot.
It was so bad, right? So then we make it to Florida. We got there. They did their dances and all that, but then it's like Neil's like, actually, I think we need our brakes redone before we drive home. And I'm like, oh, so we have to like travel to like, Orlando's all well and good, but you like go a little further, not so well and good these places, but we have to find like an auto parts store. And he's like doing the brakes. Thank God he can like do things himself. So like, yay for that. So he's like in the resort parking lot, like changing brakes.
Oh my God, Kimmy. Like,
Yes,
I can
anyway.
just imagine this as like a reality TV show. The McIsaacs on vacation.
I'm telling
I would
you,
watch that all day. I
It
would
was,
watch that for sure.
and I actually got dehydrated. So like, I don't feel good. I do get dehydrated somewhat easy, but I was like, I had this smashing headache. And then like the next day I felt like hungover. Like I was like, oh, I was dehydrated because the water was so hot. I couldn't drink it. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. It was literally hot. That's how hot it was. I was just like, Alyssa did fine. Like, I was probably the worst one. I do not like being hot like that. It was like, and I just wanted to kill him. I'm like, why did you sit in the car with the AC going? What's wrong with you? But
if you
yeah,
haven't heard
I mean,
before, Kimmy calls her family the Griswold. You know.
Yes.
yeah, we do. So my sister gave us this nickname. She calls us the Griswolds, and it's always like the Griswolds on vacation, the Griswolds getting the Christmas tree, like whatever we're doing. And it's so fitting because there's
Oh my
always
gosh, that
whenever
is
you
true
have
about
a
the
lot of-
Christmas tree. The Christmas tree.
Oh my
whenever
God,
you
her
have a
Christmas
lot
tree
of
debacle.
people, you know, you
Didn't you
throw
get your
in.
Christmas tree on Christmas Eve last year, or Christmas
And then
Day?
it flew off.
No,
Oh
no, and it flew.
We bought our Christmas tree like very close to Christmas. We're driving home, and it was like kind of like stormy out. And Neil pulls over. I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I don't know. I just want to check on the tree." And I'm like, "Okay." Freaking tree's gone. Tree's gone. Like it's not on the roof anymore.
And then they drove around with the window down in a dark and stormy night with a freaking flashlight, like the McCreeper Griswolds, and looked for a tree that was on the side of a. Remember how she lives in a tree place? Well, it was never so true as when I was trying to recount that. I'm like, oh, she's like, Rachel, can I send you a couple videos and you can help me process it? I'm like, yeah,
Dying,
anything for you, Kim.
dying.
It's your birthday. I'll watch those videos in slow-mo. You don't even have a
Well,
tree
the
yet.
worst part about it is we paid a friggin' $100 for the stupid tree. $100 or like $90. It's like 3 days
On
before
Christmas Eve.
Christmas, and I'm like, there's branches everywhere because it was such a storm that it's just like one of those storms that like so everything you look at, you're like, oh, is that the tree? No, that's just
Oh,
What was it tied down with? What was the
Oh, God.
tree
and Neil is so mad. He's so mad. You know, he's just like, I'm just like, oh my God. And like my niece lived with us at the time, who was 5. So it's not even like, oh, like your kids won't know they're bigger. It doesn't matter. No, my niece is like,
hold on. Are
"Where's
you
the
about to
tree?"
throw sweet Ari, not a listener, under this bus? I just want to
I
let you know
need-
that
I
her
needed a laugh.
expectations of Christmas, girl, you were having Christmas
So-
coming out. Hell or high water.
So the next day I get up and I say, I'm gonna
Mm.
call this place. They're gonna get, well, first of all, I just wanted to go and scale a tree from the tree place. And the other one do that. I just like, why not? Like, you just take it off the tree. And he's like, we're not doing that. I'm like, okay, fine.
I'm like, take a
So then
dead
I
bush
call
off
in
the
the
side of
morning.
the road and put some lights in it. It's time for that now. We need to plan Z.
So I get up in the morning, I put a thing on our little town thing, and I was like, hey, if anyone finds a Christmas tree, and of course people are just having a field day, which, okay, I don't blame them. I call up the tree place, and
Anyone finds a tree on the side of the road.
I call the Lamberts. I call Lamberts and I say, oh, I got a tree there last night. This is what I paid for it. This is the time I was there. It blew off the car. Like it was tied down. We checked it and I'm ready for a fight. You know what I mean? And the guy goes, oh, no problem. Just come here and get another tree. No problem at all. But in the meantime, my Facebook was going off because everyone in the town is now making fun of us. And some guy goes, oh, we found the tree. It's on this road. And they took a picture of it. It was on the same road that we pulled over, but the opposite side of the street. Like, I'm not even kidding, like 4 feet back. And it was just sitting there. It's just sitting there in front of
You
someone's
can see with that
driveway.
teeny tiny flashlight.
It's like our cell phone flashlight. So we pull over. Neil gets the tree. He ties it on the roof. I mean,
Double the
I think-
ropes. I hope it was double the ropes.
I think it was. I think
Double
this was Christmas Eve. Like by the time we
I
went back.
think it was too. We were all watching
It was.
live time. I
Oh
was
my
Isaac on the
God.
roof holding the tree down.
No,
Yeah.
it's not just vacations, people. It's holidays. I mean,
It's-
it's just
Thursdays sometimes. It's my
Yeah,
favorite
it's
family to
just-
watch.
I just love it. You're like,
you can't make this stuff up. Like
we're
you
making
can.
No.
all the comments about the Christmas tree. on the
I put
I
it
know,
on
you
the
can scare
community
that
thing
up.
and people were having a heyday.
Yeah, which
In the
it's like,
comment
okay, I get like, okay, it's a shot in the dark, but you know what? It worked because someone found the tree. So
It's true.
Found the tree.
and there were a lot of very gracious people that were like saying, hey, I have a fake tree, like you can come use our tree. People are arguing back and forth.
Aw.
This one guy is defending me. I'm like, okay. But yeah, Christmas spirit.
Oh my God. This
So
is amazing. Okay.
I don't think I have any. I mean, like I told you guys about like the plane trip where like Amelie was like 18 months and she cried the whole plane ride, which sucked, but that's not funny. That just I don't know if I
Because
have
you
a-
don't have a big dramatic Can
Yeah, I
you
don't have, like,
share the
Oh my
life
gosh.
hack for travel of the solution with the baby mask? Remember the
Oh yeah. So
okay,
during
go.
obviously during COVID, those 3 years we just went through.
Yeah.
My brother had to fly somewhere and they still were requiring masks. And I had this idea that I was gonna try to do with my daughter if she wouldn't do it, but my daughter ended up wearing a mask fine. And Jesse's always been okay with a mask, like long enough for them to
Business,
shut that
Jess.
door. They won't reopen for Tabitha. So my nephew would not wear a mask. He was like 2 at the time, maybe. I was talking to my brother, I was like, if there was only a way you could like put a sucker in the mask so the mask would stay on. So my brother took a ring pop and he took off the ring part, but kept like the flat part, and he glued it to the inside of the mask and stuck it on my nephew. My nephew.
That is brilliant.
Of course, this would be great if the 2-year-olds would wear masks. I'm sorry. Now that we're kind of out of it, it's absolutely ridiculous that we were having 2-year-olds and 1-year-olds wear masks. We're like the only country that freaking did that. It was ridiculous. Anyway, but my nephew, he kept it on and they didn't get kicked off the plane. Because there was
I love that.
Had it
That
happen,
is
the horror stories of all these people
brilliant.
not being able to fly and being kicked off planes. So there's a cute meme out there somewhere of the lollipop mask. I'm sure it's not safe or something, but whatever. It worked.
That was amazing. So I don't have a kid travel one, but I have a crazy work travel one. So I used to travel a lot for work. We always had a national expo in Nashville in October of every year. When flying, I tried to avoid Chicago O'Hare at all costs because they're always delayed, just a bleep storm of an airport. I had probably the biggest business meeting of my life scheduled for a Friday morning at 9 a.m. at a certain hotel. I already had the suite number. I mean, this was a meeting that was happening with or without me, and I had to be there. I'm in my layover, hours go hours and hours. Anyway, long story short, there's cancellations and you just see there's no flights. Nobody can get out. So you just see people take these mad dashes for cars. So I was like, well, I guess I better run over there. As I'm going, 3 other strangers and myself, there was 1 car left. There was 1 car left. So me and 3 strangers rented the 1 car because we all had to get to Nashville. We got into the car and we drove to frickin' Nashville. And I still to this day, I'm Facebook friends with them. Stupidest thing I've ever done. Don't know these people, but everybody was so desperate to get to Nashville. We drove all night from Chicago to Nashville in the pouring rain. There's big trucks that travel those big highways at night. I literally pulled up to that hotel at 8:55. I ran up that thing. I mean, it was wild.
Crazy.
It was wild, and I made it. And yeah, I had a drink when I got into that suite, but it was, I was, updating on Facebook, and people are like, I can't believe you are in a car with 3 strangers.
The
getting
4
to
faces
Nashville.
here and the ears of the listeners are also like, she got in a car with the people.
But you
did.
know what? That just
Yeah.
happened on the whole Southwest debacle this last Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
bunch of people did that, and it was like cute TikTok stories. So you know what?
And one
Jen?
lady lives
Yeah.
in Turkey, and she's a professor, and I love her. We follow each other on social media, and
I love
so
But really,
it-
who's
you-
waiting at the airport car rental for some crazy that's gonna, like what are the
there
odds?
was
that someone's gonna be like,
one
"I'm
car
sure."
left. It was, and people were desperate to get there for many reasons.
Yeah.
I wouldn't normally jump in a car with strangers, but we stopped one time, 1 potty break, coffee, snacks, whatever. And I remember saying, you people behind me, you worry about strangers behind you. I didn't really sleep or rest much. It's still a kind of an odd and yet a comfortable feeling. But like I stayed on my phone with people and
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
here's where I'm at in case I disappear.
cracked a joke to the rental guy. Remember my face? Here's my picture. If I, wind up dead in the
Oh my
field
God.
woods of,
Look
How
at
How
me.
long was the drive?
I don't remember.
But overnight is what you said.
It was a long drive.
Jen, I love how all your travel stories throughout this whole series, it always gets to, and then I had a drink and it was all fine.
I'm telling you, it was, yeah.
This is when Jen's soul knows she's arrived. Like the suitcase is in a closet and I've had a cocktail.
It's like Home Alone when she gets in the van with John Candy.
7 hours and 10
Yeah.
minutes. 7 hours and 10 minutes. It was a drive.
Oh my God.
Well, and the fact that it was bad enough storm that the flights are all canceled means that 7 hours takes 9.
It was
I mean, if you're on
it was
like
crazy.
flash flood highways and stuff, you're
Did
not
one
going
person
quick.
drive?
One guy, he drove most of the time. Yeah, there was, 2 girls and 2 guys.
Oh my gosh.
Were they together or were you guys all?
Nobody was together. Nobody knew each other. We all had, people just were at the desk, the ticket desk, desperately trying to get out. There was no flights. There was
You need to go find that BlackBerry and
no flight.
put this on the TikTok.
Our next guests on the podcast. Just kidding.
Strangers just met. And then I just wanted to quickly say, Rachel, you'll know this for comparison. I was talking about the West Edmonton Mall, which going to this summer. Rachel, it only comes second behind the Mall of America, which is 5.6 million square feet. West Edmonton Mall is 5.3 million square feet. So it's like big like that.
Yeah.
That'll be fun because it's local. Anyway, I Googled that. Share that.
I
with
think
your-
I've seen that. I couldn't find my mute button. But I think I've seen that on the Travel Channel. I mean, I'm into that. Like, I don't leave this area, so I'll watch somebody else have a trip. And I think I've seen that. There's a mall someplace that has a ski hill in it. Like it's in Asia someplace. Like a ski jump and a wave
I don't
park. Like
ski. I
there's
don't
some
like to
weird
get cold
stuff.
or wet. So that
Yeah.
activity is off the table for me.
But in a
Yeah.
mall, you can just go try right off.
True.
Rachel, did you have any funny? Did you go? Did you have a funny story?
You know, I mean, what really compares to the 13 we've just heard? I feel like there's this time my autistic kid after diagnosis left a tablet on a cruise ship, and I tried in a like, let's call Mark and get this right kind of way. I tried Mickey, I tried Minnie, they wouldn't turn the ship around.
She kicks Mickey in the
Then
deck.
in that trip, we get off the cruise ship. We don't have the tablet. We get from like Cape Canaveral, which is 90 minutes from MCO, which is Kim's least favorite airport of life. And then, the Orlando situation. And then we're with my blind mom. We're with my dad. My dad and I are in this caregiver, like trying to manage all these parts and pieces. I mean, it was hell. And then my daughter, I thought she was sick all the time, back when I didn't understand what a meltdown was and what the hangover after was. And like, I couldn't put patterns together and I didn't really see what it was, but she was full out done, taxed, done. And when her anxiety gets so bad, and she was just this little nugget, I mean, she projectile threw up. She heaved, she sobbed. By the time we landed in Minnesota, the child was wearing a Delta blanket.
Oh.
That's it. The people around us were both disgusted and impressed with our management of said sitch. I too have one Instagram follower from that time of life. It was not great. We have since learned that if you build in so much extra time for to hit fans, that you can maybe still travel a little. For instance, we're flying to Orlando, MCO. We book a hotel right by that damn hotel, so she can go to bed right now. And then we drive to a cruise ship, and then we play on the beach and get all the energy out, and then we go stand in line and wait for that effing mouse, the big white hands, to give F's about her. And then all this stuff happens. It's a cruise. It's all great for her. And then we get off the ship and we get to the hotel. We put that kid to bed. And then we drive to Orlando. I mean, we've learned. But it's like, Billy's like, we should let this car heat up when we got finally like out, with the naked Delta baby blanket, baby. To the car, he's like, we should really let this thing warm up. I'm like, I'm going to go home and drink. We are leaving now. The kid's in a blanket. We are going home. I'm like, and just whatever. It's legal enough here. I have a prescription. I had to go home and smoke a bowl. I didn't care how cold the car was. That's what I'm saying. I needed to go home. So that's just whatever. It's been varied levels of kind of that the whole way, but we've learned a lot. It's just, you got to slow it down and speed it up and be flexible.
And figure it out. Just go
It's so funny how like things have evolved though. So like after this vacation that I just talked about where Alyssa was on the attack, a couple weeks later, I found out I was pregnant with Lexi. So she was born in May. And then the next summer I was like, we're going to make this going away for a weekend every summer. This is going to be a thing now. Even though the last one's freaking disastrous. I don't know why I was thinking this was a great idea. So, but we're like, well, forget New Hampshire. That didn't work out good. Let's go to Maine. So we go to Maine. I go on the internet. Now you guys have to realize this is before Airbnbs. This is before Airbnbs that had Superhost and reviews. This is way back. This is 2004. I find these cute little cottages in Old Orchard Beach, very reasonably priced. I'm like, we can afford this. Yep. Let's just say I didn't learn my lesson. And then Neil's sister and
I feel a
John,
bed bug coming.
and John who lives with
Oh,
us
at
and
minimum.
You
their
had a bad
son,
one
and
with that.
then obviously my son, Kara, was like 2.5. Lexi was a baby. First disaster I'll tell you is we were leaving the house. The whole car's packed up. Everybody's in the car except Lexi. She was in her car seat, and then I'm like, where are the keys? And Neil's like, you have them. I'm like, no, you have them. And he's like, no, you have them. And we're like, okay, where are the keys? Can't find the car keys. I know Rachel's loving these.
I am loving the story.
Love the story already. So then we're looking through the whole house, can't find the car keys. So then we're like, okay, where's the spare? Don't know. Rip through the whole house.
Spare.
Find the spare. Now Neil is ready to literally rip my head off. I do not know what happened to the keys.
There's
So,
a theme between the ripping the head off and the trips. I just want to let you know that's a
but
theme
he
of the
really
original.
he does love me.
No, he
was
just
gonna
doesn't like
steal-
when
he
you
was gonna
cry,
steal
that's
a
what he
car from
said.
me. So we find the spare set, we drive, whatever. We get to this place. Thank God that like we had another family also staying there. So they had these little cabins and they had like a little living room and a little bedroom and a little kitchen. They looked super cute. There was a pool. I'm like, this is gonna be great. And then we're near Old Orchard Beach in Maine, is like a mile down the road. So we can take the kids to the beach. They have like kind of carnival type things there, like all the time. We pull up, the cabins are in a guy's backyard. It's literally
gosh.
there's a house and there's these 3 little houses in his yard. Like it was like something
Like
straight out of a
Hansel and
horror
Gretel
movie.
murder house.
I'm not even kidding you. The guy comes out, he's a little
No.
odd. He's like, yeah,
he is.
we have VHS tape. You can come to the main house. You can take any videos.
You can come into my garage where I
was
keep
like,
the chainsaws
The
too.
pool, listen, the pool is one of those blow up pools. Like they're big, but they're like I don't even know if they still have them, but they're like these big blow up inflatable pools. It's not even like, it's not an in-ground pool. It's not even an above ground pool. And then there are floaties, like he said, that you could take into the pool. I mean, luckily Neil was a pretty beefy guy at that point. Like he was like 300 pounds then. John's a pretty big guy. So like we weren't scared for our safety because like they could definitely like take this guy, like no problem. But, like,
Oh my god.
like,
I feel like I don't know how Neil has ever gone on another vacation. with
Why
you
he says yes to you.
we're from the city. We got some street smarts. We got some tricks up our sleeves. But I'm like,
He probably hired this little cabin guy just to lock you guys up.
he's
And
like,
then it went awry.
where did you find this place? I mean, this is not what it looked like on the internet. This is not. It didn't look like it
Weird.
was in somebody's yard. It
This
was
is-
fine.
$13 cabin that I found. It might be a shed for murderers, but
It was actually kind of more up Neil's alley because there was no other people there. He hates people, so he hates when you go to a resort and there's lots of
Okay.
people. So like we had that going for us. And, we're just here with a 3-month-old, a 2-year-old. Oh, best part of the story. So we get to the place.
oh, we
after
haven't hit it
realize
yet,
we're
people.
in somebody's yard. I take Lexi. I take Lexi out of the car seat. What? There's the car keys right under her little bum.
Oh
Like,
god.
that mystery was solved. But yeah, but it was fine. It wasn't really a disaster. Like,
It
the weekend was okay. We didn't get murdered. We didn't have to nothing from a movie happened that we had to fight anybody or anything like that. So it was all good.
Oh
But
my gosh, I have
yeah.
so many stories floating back to my mind right now of the bad traveling. Oh
This
my
has really
gosh.
been a real extraordinary chat, ladies.
and I
Oh my
did think
God.
about becoming a travel agent at one time.
Can you
Kim?
imagine?
Tim, I would
Nailing
never,
the
She just
Tim.
fell.
I would never allow you to book me a trip ever. I love it so much.
We love
She'd be
you.
like,
I
"Taylor,
also don't like
the
to travel
flight's
with-
at
Listen,
know,
I
I
learned a
would
lot.
flight's at 3:30 or 11, and you have to leave your house by 1 for sure."
I would love the side by side of you and Neil talking about your family vacations.
Yes, we'd like to interview a dual interview.
Since you both have been together, I would love his ideas and version of this travel experience.
Listen, this is my first experience with the internet and booking things. I learned, okay? I learned from I've
What'd you
learned
learn?
since then. I learned how to
Oh my
read
God.
reviews. I learned how to go on multiple sites for the same places. Like I've learned that
It feels like this isn't the first time she's been
guy-
asked. Anybody else feel like that?
Will say you just pretty recently were on a trip and just randomly decided to add an extra day.
Yeah.
that was in 2021. What's wrong with that?
Oh my god, I love her.
Bring Neil in and ask him.
Ugh.
I mean, except for also like refusing to return the rent-a-car, everything else was fine.
This
Oh,
one
and the
because
suitcases, you know, yeah, I know.
Neil said,
Listen,
I don't like to hear you cry. And
Listen.
half of us thought that was the sweetest thing he ever did say. And the other half of us thought it was almost like when Alyssa can't hear the kids screaming at soccer. Like he's like, no, I'll do anything.
Oh my gosh.
Drive to Florida in this van.
Funny
Anyway.
episode, ladies.
Oh my
That
God, I can't
freaking-
wait.
Funny.
That freaking Christmas tree.
I know,
Oh
the
my
Christmas is
God.
the best part. It has nothing to do with travel. Thank you for listening.
Nothing.
Thank you
For
for
everything. Yeah.
Listening,
Travel
but you did hear the funniest Christmas tree story.
and I don't
of
think
all
we got to
time.
share that because of the way our recording went around the holidays. Like, so that was such old
It was
news by
too
the
close,
time we
yeah.
got back.
We
Yeah,
were on our
this
There
is
was
a
a picture in
preview
the
type.
thread of the tree from the other side of the street. There's a tree.
Oh my
right
God.
there.
Oh yeah. Basically travel could be awesome and it could also be a
Christmas is
real
back.
goddamn storm.
And maybe one day you'll be able to laugh about the poop or the throw up all over you.
Mhm.
Thank you for listening to this series. We'll see you next time. We have an interview coming up next, and then
Some
we
more
don't-
series.
let you know. Something good.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us at the table for this episode. Check out the description to find where you can sign up for our newsletter, how to become a supporter, and find links to us individually. Join us next Monday for more, and while you wait, check out our content on Facebook and Instagram. If you are enjoying the podcast, please make sure to subscribe and rate and review us wherever you listen. To contact us, you can email us at tablefor5podcast@gmail.com. We can't wait to sit with you again.